Alrighty guys, so we have the 23 million download campaign over here on the NA side of things, and this is bringing 3 different banners along with it, and I don't think that I have to make a video saying that this is not worth rolling on, but I do know there's going to be quite a few people that are going to roll anyway because, well, these are some pretty popular characters. I mean, you can also see that I might have got, but to be fair, I need my extra copies of Ruler Artoria, right? And I just believe that Ace will come NP5 and like 2 multis. You know, there's no delusions there. But I guess I will make this video kind of talking about whether or not these banners are worth going for, or more or less, if you already are going to be summoning on these banners and I can't stop you, at least what are some of the highlights, what are the pros and cons of some of these banners, things to look forward to with the characters, how to use them, all that kind of good stuff. So make sure you strap in, make sure you get comfortable, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let's start talking about the banners. And I guess we'll just go to the easiest one. That one would be the Ruler Artoria and the Okita Summer one. Now, this is kind of an interesting banner because right now, like right this second, as of this dropping on NA, neither of these characters are particularly good. I mean, you can use them, but as a lot of people I've seen on stream, I go out of my way to use Ruler Artoria. It's not the prime best thing to do. She's quite fun because of her second skill. You know, you have the ability to push one of your servant's cards out of rotation, so you can almost guarantee that you're going to see the other two, right? You're only going to see their cards, so you might be able to set up like a Brave Chain or something, but unfortunately, interesting isn't always the best servants to have in the game, right? Like you can look at some characters like, is Arjuna Alter doing anything particularly interesting? No, he's just getting in there, dumpstering for a million bajillion damage, and that's why he's good. Sometimes being really simple and not having some quirky new mechanic isn't always the best, direction to go for a character, although there are some quirky characters that I guess are really, really good. But this is just kind of talking in general. You know, if you try to give somebody some weird new skill, it's not always going to hit. You know, when this came out, I was comparing it to the BB skill, her third skill, and I was like, I think locking the cards you already have for 3 turns is probably a little bit better than just shuffling your cards for 1 turn. But this is an interesting banner because both of these guys are slated for buffs. Okita is actually going to be getting one during the anniversary, and it's a godsend for her, right? She goes from not really being able to do quick farming super well to now being a Black Grail compliant farmer, which, to be fair, is something that they fixed for another character during the anniversary, but we'll talk about that when it happens. But suffice to say, it's a really strong buff for her. Like, it's really good. It makes her quite strong. And anniversary is what, only maybe 4 or 5 weeks away? And the reason this is even more interesting is that Ruler Artoria, even though it's a bit more out, is also slated for a buff that helps her out a lot. So both of these characters are kind of, you summon for them as an investment, right? Like you want to have these characters when they're really good, so you're trying to snag a copy right now. That being said, while I do think both of their buffs help them out a lot, it's not like Summer Okita or Ruler Artoria are running the game on JP. It's more so they're just really good options right now. But if you've got people like your Kukulkans, your Arjuna Alters, these really just big slam dunk buster AoE characters, arguably even if you already have Morgan or something, you probably don't need these, or just straight up, you don't need this character. Again, I only went in because Ruler Artoria is one of those characters that I would like to invest a little bit more in, and I would like more of her coins. I think the NP2 would help her out a lot, but that's just because this is one of my favorite characters in the game. So I was like, I am going to go roll for them. But unless you're in a similar position to me, you do not need to be summoning on this banner because you're going to be getting a good buster character, you know, whenever their buff drops, and you'll have a solid quick AoE character. But as you'll see from a lot of the comment section, one, quick isn't exactly the most viable route to go down. So if you're already doing arts and buster, you don't really need to go down the quick path. And 2, there are just better options to be using straight up. But they're not bad. You know, if you do like them and you are willing to bend the knee that you're not going to have as much Saint Quartz for anniversary in summer, or even Saber Medusa that's coming up in what, like a week from now, then that's fine. Like, as long as you know the consequences of summoning on this banner before the other one, like I myself am just kind of ready and accepting that I might have to break out the ye old credit card on the Ace the Savior. So hopefully we don't have to do that. But, you know, if you're willing to accept that you're not going to have as much Saint Quartz, then by all means, you know, you go ahead and summon. It's a gotcha game. I can't stomp you. But if you're looking for characters that you're like, oh, are these extremely viable characters that I need? No, you don't really need them. But they are both fun. This banner, I think you could pretty easily avoid as well, because this is just two big nuking characters. Maid Alter is capable of dropping some pretty nasty damage, as is MHXX, although XX is to a different degree. I mean, if you've seen the damage charts or you've ever used this character, you know that they can mollywop opponents. God forbid they are a saber or a threat against humanity, which is most of the story bosses. They're going to get butt blasted into oblivion, but there are just better options to use. I mean, if you're in the market for a single target arts character, chances are you summoned on Draco and probably got her, in which case you're pretty much set. Or you could just go summon for Summer Castoria, who is leagues better than MHXX. I mean, she's arguably the best character that's releasing this year. So if you're just in the market for a saber-face single target arts character, well, you have another saber-face single target arts character coming out in like literally a month from now, maybe 6 weeks, you know, a week after anniversaries when we get summer stuff. So you can hold off on that one. And unless you are a ride or die fan for Maid Alter, your options for single target quick characters is immaculate. The single target quick characters are something else. I mean, not only do you have Saber Medusa coming out in, you know, like 1 or 2 weeks from now, probably a week, but you also people like New Dante's releasing. I mean, Lilith is coming out in a couple of years. I know that's 2 years out, but I mean, New Dante's is kind of like middle of next year. And then you're probably sitting on someone that's fairly decent in your Chaldea if you were playing during Lilim Harlot, and you got Satanta. I mean, he can just get the job done for you in place of Maid Alter until you get a better single target quick character, because he's not even that bad. So it really does come down to, do you just really like these characters? And you also got to be accepting that their kit is a little behind the times, I would say. Both of these guys are kind of one pump chumps, so much more in MHXX's lane, because all of her skills are like one turn things, which is just an older way of like playing FGO. It's a year 3 where, you know, break bars is like, oh, boss might have like 1 break bar, right? 2 if we're getting frisky, and some guys just don't even have break bars, right? Some guys are just bums. So being able to 1-2 shot people, not that big of a deal. But as fights are getting longer and more complex, MHXX is just lacking a lot of things in her kit. Not to say that I don't like her or anything. I mean, MHXX, I mean, it's a saber face. You saw the tier list, right? Or hopefully you saw the tier list I did, but I'm quite fond of this character. Same thing for Maid Alter as well. But are they characters that I would recommend you summon for over the anniversary and summer guys? Most definitely not. And again, if you're in the market for a single target quick character, go give Medusa some love. Like, Medusa is leagues better than Maid Alter over here. It has to be specifically, you just really, really love your saber faces and you need to add them to your collection. This is the banner that I was originally going to summon on, but this is what I would like to call the Cope banner, because neither of these characters, again, are bad. They can both loop like madmen, but the warning I always have to give people for Mordred Rider is, dude, she can loop 100%, if not over 100% of her NP easily. Like, her looping ability is insane. The problem is damage. You'll find yourself in scenarios where Mordred will have 100% of her NP refunded, but the enemies are still alive. You know, that's kind of a problem if you're like, oh, I want to use, you know, I want to have my tomboy farmer, you know, I want to get my farming on. You're going to need to get some extra copies of Mordred Rider, because she really does need those to secure KOs on, you know, enemy random I was gonna say random enemies, but you know, enemies, yeah, right, any enemy you fight are your servants, because she's got no power mods and she's got a very straightforward kit. Exceptionally good for when she came out and still usable now, but you'd rather have somebody that has some kind of ramping damage or some type of power mod in which, you know, that's just stuff she doesn't have. She's got the bare necessities and the battery and the arts buff, but she's gonna need a little bit more. Squirtoria is a little interesting, I guess, because like Okita, she's getting a buff during the anniversary, but it's something that she really did not need. They gave a character that can spam their NP all over the place a 30% battery, which sure, I guess gives her some like 90++ viability, because you know, with the multi-core setups you can bring both a single target and an AoE character, but it really helps if those guys have their own battery, so you don't have to pamper them as much. So it is nice for that, but it doesn't really fix the outgoing issue that her damage isn't the greatest, right? And again, she's also in contention as a single target art saber phase. There is just a straight up leagues better one coming out during the summer event, right? In Berserker Castoria. And then even then, I would make the argument that I think that UDK Barghest as your single target arts archer would just do a better job anyway. And those banners are cracked. You know, you summon on this banner, sure, it's really nice. You have 2 characters you really like, but think about if you're summoning on the UDK Bargus banner because you need an archer, you might also snag, Sith, who is a phenomenal servant in her own right, or, Ruler Melusine, who can be your farmer anywhere. And so it just kind of comes down to, if you really are a huge Saberface aficionado, you're like me and you got to own all the Saberfaces, then I can't really stop you from summoning on the banner. But I can't tell you to go summon on it if you're on the fence, because I'm like, they're just not as good as the anniversary and summer characters. Those guys are nuts, and the only thing they don't provide is really a quick DPS. I mean, aside from Suzuka, but well, she's an interesting case. We'll talk about her whenever she drops, but you pretty much get everything you need. You have a strong Buster offensive slash support character in Ace the Savior. You have a strong single target art in Berserker Castoria, a strong AoE arts in Melusine. You have a decent enough quick AoE character in someone like Sasuka. You have technically a quick DPS in Avenger Chloe, who I should think is better as a DPS than people give her credit for. And then, you've also got Sith as kind of like your challenge quest character and technically Buster Farmer, if you want to use her in those ways, I guess. And then you also have UDK Bargus, who can be your AoE archer, or she could be your single target, right? Because she could swap up. So I just don't really see a point on going on these banners. Again, unless you're like me, you're fine with going in with your anniversary St. Quartz and leaving it in the Lord's hands to see if you are able to get your anniversary servant with a bunch of dupes or whatever. But if you're just like a normal player, you're not a big whale or anything, then no, I can't recommend summoning on these banners. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. There will inevitably be people like me that are huge Saberface shills, and they're like, we just gotta summon for this character. Like, I can't help it. It's a Saberface. Anniversary Saberface. This is Saberface. Summer's got Saberfaces in it. I just gotta catch them all, dude. I gotta collect all of them. So let me know if you did decide to pull, and let me know if they went well. I'll just, a little bit of foreshadowing, but mine did not go great. I only ended up walking away with a copy of Atalanta, but I already have Atalanta NP5, so that doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Rare prisms, I guess, but yeah, as per usual, like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video for another FGO video.